Welcome to the Explainer. We're jumping right into a really fascinating cyber heist today. We're going to break down exactly how a security researcher took some seemingly harmless, totally low-priority bugs and chained them together into a devastating account takeover. Let's get into it.
So, you might be wondering, can a harmless, quote-unquote, self-inflicted bug actually be used to hijack a completely different user's account? I mean, it sounds kind of impossible, right? If a bug only affects the person who triggers it, how does it hurt anyone else? Well, today, we're going to see exactly how a digital trap was set to do just that. What we're looking at here is the blueprint for a really incredible proof of concept by a security researcher who goes by Checkmate. They found what most bug bounty programs consider a completely out-of-scope, low-level bug, but instead of moving on, they decided to test out some theoretical attack chains. And I absolutely love their mindset on this. Driven by pure curiosity, the author built a custom environment to prove these dismissed bugs are actually incredibly dangerous when you mix them together. As they put it, I decided to not limit myself by just reading the blogs, but to actually implement what I've learned. Okay, so let's see exactly what they built. Section 1. The 3 ingredients. Before we execute this heist, we really need to understand the 3 specific lockpicks in our toolkit. Ingredient number 1 is stored Self-XSS, or cross-site scripting. Think of this like setting a booby trap, but literally inside your own house. You hide a malicious script on a web page, but because of how the site works, it only triggers when you view your own profile. And on its own, Self-XSS is usually totally ignored by security teams because, well, you're essentially just hacking yourself. Okay, ingredient number 2, Login and Logout CSRF, which stands for Cross-Site Request Forgery. This one's wild. It allows an attacker to silently push a user out of their account or yank them into a totally different one without the user ever clicking a button or even realizing it happened. You're basically forging a signature on their behalf in the background. And finally, ingredient number 3 is OAuth login. You've definitely seen this around. It's the login with Google or Facebook button. It acts as a sort of VIP pass. If you're already logged into Google in another tab, clicking that button instantly logs you into the target site, no password needed. And as you'll see, this VIP pass is the absolutely crucial final piece for our takeover strategy. Moving on to Section 2, Setting the Trap. Now that we have our 3 ingredients ready to go, let's look at the actual web application where this heist goes down. The target app that CheckM4 set up has 2 front doors. First, a standard traditional login using an email and password. Second, a Google OAuth login. If you use the standard login, the app just shows some basic default account info. But if you use Google, it pulls your actual external account details and displays them on a dashboard. So keep that dual login system in mind. It's super important. All right, here's our entry point. The attacker discovers a comment section on their own dashboard where they can type and store a malicious script. But remember our first ingredient? It's a self-stored XSS. That means the script just sits there safely and only fires when the attacker views their own dashboard. It's a completely localized trap. So to actually set this trap, the attacker first creates the main weapon, a file called evil.js, hosted on their own external server. Then, they use that dashboard comment section we just talked about to inject a tiny snippet of code that essentially says, hey, whenever this page loads, go fetch and run evil.js. The trap is now officially armed, waiting inside the attacker's account. Section 3, Executing the Chain, Springing the Trap. Okay, the trap is set in the attacker's house. Now they just need to trick the victim into walking through the front door. This is where the brilliant chaining really begins. The attacker sends the victim a seemingly innocent link, and the moment the victim clicks it, bam! 3 things happen instantly in the background. First, using a fake image tag, the script forces the victim to log out of their own account. Second, using a hidden background request, it forces the victim's browser to log into the attacker's account, using the attacker's own credentials. And third, it redirects the victim straight to the attacker's dashboard. Just by using a totally standard image link pointing to the site's logout URL, the victim's session cookies are wiped out. Then, a silent background messenger, specifically the navigator.sendBeacon function, submits the attacker's username and password. The victim is now literally trapped inside the attacker's booby-trapped account, and when that dashboard loads, it instantly triggers the Self-XSS. Section 4. Executing the chain, the heist. So, the victim's browser has unknowingly triggered the hidden evil.js script. The trap has snapped shut. But wait a second. the victim is currently logged into the attacker's account, right? The real heist hasn't actually happened yet. How in the world does the attacker steal the victim's cookies? To do that, the attacker has to push the victim back into their own account to grab that sensitive data. But they have to do it while that malicious script is still running in the background. How do you seamlessly bounce a user back to their own profile without them noticing a thing?
Well, this is exactly what evil.js is programmed to do. While it's running quietly in the victim's browser, the script first automatically logs out of the attacker's account. Then, and here's where ingredient number 3 really shines, it fires off a login request to the victim's account using that Google OAuth VIP pass. And what's really fascinating here is just the reality of how we browse the web today. Because the victim is almost certainly already logged into their Gmail account in some other tab, this Google OAuth request works instantly. No prompts, no pop-ups. The browser just goes, yep, you're already authenticated with Google, and logs the victim right back into their own account on the target app. But, and this is the kicker, the evil script is still running. The getaway here is so clean and completely silent. Now that the victim is back in their own account, the evil script simply reads the victim's brand new, highly sensitive session cookies and quietly transmits them to the attacker's server using an intercept tool called Burp Collaborator. And just like that, the attacker has the session cookie. The total account takeover is complete. Now you might be thinking, what if the developers were smart and protected those cookies with security flags like HTTP only? That means JavaScript can't even read them. Well, Checkmate points out that the heist doesn't have to stop there. Instead of trying to steal the cookies, the malicious script could just as easily navigate over to the account settings and silently add the attacker's own phone number to the account. From there, the attacker just requests a simple password reset via SMS, and boom, they're in anyway. The final takeaway. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. This incredible heist perfectly illustrates a really fundamental truth in security. Context is absolutely everything. Individually, these 3 ingredients, Self-XSS, Login CSRF, and an OAuth flow, they were considered low priority, practically harmless on their own. But when you mix them together, they lead to a total compromise. Plus, offering multiple ways to log in, like email right alongside Google OAuth, sure, it gives users convenience, but it also gives attackers way more doors to play with. It's such a striking reminder that in the digital world, unexploitable often just means a lack of creativity. Even a booby trap inside your own house can be used to rob your neighbor if you can just trick them into walking through the front door. It really leaves you wondering, if this quote-unquote useless vulnerability was weaponized so effectively with just a few lines of JavaScript, what other low-priority bugs are hiding in plain sight, just waiting for the right chain? Thank you for checking out this explainer. I hope it gave you a totally new perspective on vulnerability chaining.